How you been? You remember me? It is.
Did you say what they were getting taken into custody for?
I'm not going to repeat it 55 times. Just let me wait till they come back. That way I don't have to duplicate and triple this.
I'm sorry, Chief. I just didn't want.
It's okay, darling. I'm not going to say a word until everybody
apologize.
gets back. Are you doing okay?
No disrespect. Yeah. I'm hot as hell, but beyond
You
that, I'm fine.
want a bottle of water?
I've got some. I'm good.
Okay.
Let's wait. This is Fox's.
Oh, it's one of those balanced ones?
Is it?
I guess so. All right.
Sorry
why it
about
fell
that.
apart. Don't worry about it.
Sorry about that.
Not you guys. One of the cameraman's things I think was wrapped around.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll stay. Let me see.
Don't worry about nothing.
Is this a balance?
There was a recorder too. Okay. You got that.
Yeah. Making sure it's still.
Are you the one that did this?
Yeah.
The Sox fan?
That's
I
right.
should have known better. It was a
It's on.
Sox
Oh no,
fan.
that's on good. Look up.
Is it?
Yeah, look up. Yeah, that's on.
Oh, okay.
You like Houdini?
Yeah, I'm gonna set this right here.
Is it okay if I stand right here so I can hear a little bit better?
It's fine by me. Am I still waiting for them to come back? It appears.
One of the cameras pulled the whole thing over.
Where's Wazansky? Now. How you been?
Good.
Staying out of trouble?
That was going to be the main question.
All right.
Is everybody back? We're missing one camera.
Bagpipes. I remember that. It was positive, too. It was good.
I was very positive, wasn't I? Absolutely. It's a feel-good instrument. We're almost there.
Sorry, guys. I guess I owe you guys some footage.
We're good.
Very good. We're everybody good? I'll start again. My name is Thomas Arian, Police Chief of the Village Alliance. I announced that we have two subjects that were taken into custody today for further investigation. They'll be interviewed and spoken to at the Alliance Police Department. Amongst some other investigative tools we have to work with these two individuals on. Behind me is Detective Fermato and Detective Lazansky. They're with the West Suburban Major Crimes Task Force, who've been working on this case, and we're the lead detectives on it. Today was a very long, strenuous day, very hot, about close to 100 degrees out there today. We went to two specific locations that were indicated by one of the brothers who identified the location where his sister was buried and where his mother was buried. Upon digging at those two locations with the assistance of the medical examiner's office out of Cook County, two human remains were recovered, buried about a foot down underneath the dirt. Again, they have not been identified. I'll just leave it as human remains. They're going to the ME's office. One body's already been transported to the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. The second one will be transported very soon. What's going to happen now is once the medical examiner's office does an autopsy, which should start tomorrow, we will be able to determine, hopefully, preliminarily, some type of cause of death, but this can go up to about 90 days before the medical examiner's office will come up with a definitive cause of death. Very happy to have this situation over. It's a very sad situation, but that's about all we have for today. If anybody has any questions. I'm so sorry.
What charges for the brother?
So they're being brought in for further investigation. They're taken into custody. We have 48 hours to solidify what charges are going to come to fruition. We know that concealment of a death is a felony in the state of Illinois. If it turns out it's a homicide, concealment of a homicide is a more serious offense. If it turns out that there was additional information or evidence that is out there that leads to a higher, stronger charge, that will come forward in the future. But we will be working with the Cook County State's Attorney's Office on a continuation of this case, along with further interviews. We have to process the house. Again, we know that house is going to be a very hard task to get through, to go through all the debris and everything that's inside that residence. So this is far from over. It's going to continue for an extended period of time. We are doing a couple other searches in the backyard where they said they buried some animals, but we want to make sure that they're animals, so we want to do a thorough investigation, so we're doing a little bit more digging in the backyard. I don't anticipate anything more than what we've recovered today, but again, we just want to be thorough.
Why the delay in taking the brothers into custody? Why, when they first told police that they had buried their loved ones in the backyard a day ago, 2 days ago, why weren't they taken into custody then?
There's an old saying, no body, no crime, right? So at this point in time, we have two individuals that said that they buried their mother and their sister in the backyard. We did not have a body at the time. So, and because this took 2 days, and it takes 2 days, there's more work to do tomorrow and tonight. We're not even close to being done. So, because it's a very intricate process of how you dig into a grave that's been there for 2 years, 6 years, you got to be very delicate in what you're doing to make sure you don't harm or the evidentiary value of that body that's there. So that's why this took so long. We had archaeologists, we had archaeology students from Loyola University there. We had the medical examiner's office to determine whether it was human remains. After 6 years, there's a lot of decay in a human body, even in 2 years. So that's why. Once the bodies were identified, now we have a criminal offense. Now we can actually verify that this happened. We don't want to charge somebody if there was no body there. We're falsely arresting someone. We don't want to do that.
Sir, I want to address the elephant in the room because I want to address the elephant in the room because there were some people out here. I was here yesterday.
Yes, sir.
There were people out here who did not understand. We understand what you're saying, but even just to detain these guys until further information, there were people saying that the optics of this did not look well. You have two white men who said they buried their loved ones in their backyards, and now they're just running around free talking, eating sandwiches. And some people felt that these were people of color or black, that they would have been brought into custody immediately.
The only thing I can say,
or not. What do you say to that?
Here's what I say is, and I will speak about the Lyons Police Department. I will not go talk for law enforcement across the board. The Lyons Police Department does thorough investigations on any offense that occurs. We have to have elements of a crime. We need probable cause for arrest. We need evidentiary value of any investigation that we do. So this is a run-of-the-mill investigation of every case we go into. We don't take anybody into custody unless we know, one, we have the right person. We don't care about gender. We don't care about race. We don't care about anything. We just care about right and wrong and people being charged according to a crime actually occurring. We don't want to violate anybody's rights to bring them in and to handcuff them and bring somebody in and put them in a cell and hurt their reputation. What if this was a situation where there were no bodies and there is no crime and people do lie and people do make up stories? So at this point in time, until we could really identify some type of evidentiary value of a deceased person, we cannot charge, and nor would the state's attorney approve it without having a body that's been identified.
But can you detain somebody?
We have no legal right to detain them. So here's the deal: you detain somebody, you have 48 hours to hold them, and then you have to release them. So now you're on a clock. So now we have 48 hours to put our investigation together. Now, we would arrest them 2 days ago. Our 48 hours are up. And if we would have recovered the bodies today, if we don't have enough for a charge, or the right charge, whether it be concealment of a death, concealment of a homicide, or some type of murder or some type of violent event that occurred, if we don't have the evidence, we got to let them go. And that's like I mentioned, we have 30 days to get the evidence in this case, probably just out of the house alone through searches and processing of evidence. That's our SOP. That's the way it should be, and that's the way we do it.
Might the house be condemned?
I'm sorry?
Might the house be condemned?
I'm not going to get into the house being condemned or anything of that fashion. The only thing we're focused on now is the criminal investigation and going through the house to see what evidentiary value we can get out of the house, that either whether this was a natural causes death, whether this was a homicide, or whatever it is. We're hoping we're going to come up with some type of evidence after the medical examiner does their investigation. If they were to say that we found a cracked skull, maybe made by a hammer, now we know what we're looking for. There's a lot of different things that have to occur and that will help us in our investigation of what exactly to look for.
So the brothers have been arrested. They've been arrested on suspicion of something. What I'm actually trying to get the charge. Have they been arrested, officially arrested?
They have not been formally charged. They have not been formally charged because at this point in time, to charge them with a concealment of a death, when we could possibly have a homicide, or we could have concealment of a homicide or a murder case, which I think would come much further in the future. There's other things we need to do. We have search warrants for. We'll be doing some DNA testing on the two individuals we took into custody to compare with the deceased to ensure that they are family members. So there's a lot of things that we have to do behind the scenes that involves this investigation.
What were the results of their mental health evaluation?
Only thing I'll tell you about the mental health is they went to McNeil. They were treated by Lions paramedics. They were brought to McNeil Hospital. They were evaluated medically, physically, psychologically. They were subsequently released from McNeil Hospital, which is a psychiatric hospital, without being committed. So, and we use McNeil all the time for our psychiatric patients. And they will hold people for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, whatever it may be, whatever type of evaluation that they need. And they released them in several hours.
Chief, neighbors have told us that the mom and sister's names were Jean and Jenny. Anything you can confirm about them, their ages, any details about them at all?
I can, but I'll let the detectives talk. Jean and Jennifer, mom, who's the mom? Who's the...
Sergeant Frank from out of the Lions Police Department. Jean, Frank from Otto, FORMATO. Again, Sergeant with the Lions Police Department. Jean was the mother. Around this year, she'd be 79 years old. Okay, I couldn't tell you the exact birth date. And then Jenny would be 44 years old at today's date.
Do you have a last name for them?
The same last name, Lelko.
What are the names? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
What was the name?
Jennifer and Jean.
Jennifer's the daughter, Jean is the mom. Lelko. Jean, Jean, Jennifer, 2 N's, IFER, Lelko, LELKO.
What was the last name?
Lelko, LELKO.
Same as the guy. Same as
That's the chief. For me, is there a lesson in this from the community? I talked to a family friend who said the father built the house in the 1980s. When residents have seen the brothers perhaps crawling out the window, not knowing that a mother had been missing for 5 years, should neighbors have said something? What is the takeaway for this community?
We always encourage the residents to work with the police, call in for any disturbances, any type of suspicious activity. We didn't know they were coming in out of the initial call here was really started by the Village Alliance. There was no water being used over a year, and we didn't know whether it was a mechanical issue with our meters or what it was. And then when we came out here to investigate a little bit, we started hearing some things from the neighbors. Myself and Sergeant Formato came out here immediately, along with Officer Grady Connell, and we started doing an investigation. Our immediate concern was the well-being of the individuals in the home. Once Michael Lelko came home, he indicated there was no running water in the house, there's no gas in the house. It's very, very bad conditions. His brother's in the house, has a heart condition. At that point in time, he explained we tried to go into 2 of the doors. We could not get in either door because they were completely barricaded with garbage and debris. He was going out the south and the north windows to bring his dogs out and bring the dogs back into the house. We made entry through that same window, and I briefed on this the last couple days, I've never saw more deplorable living conditions in my life, and I've been doing this a long time, more deplorable living conditions than what I just saw in this house. It is multiple bottles of urine, feces, everything. It was absolutely chaotic in there. And we were completely suited up because we had to be.
But just to be more specifically, for a 70-year-old woman to be missing for some years, no family members or friends reaching out to the police department, is there a message today to the public to prevent something like this from happening again? That's
yes, but you're right. And what ended up happening though is when we came here, we talked to neighbors, and one of the neighbors said the mother is in a mental institution. She's been in a mental institution for 5 years. So they're repeating what the sons had told them. So at that point in time, that put everybody at ease that mom's just being mentally evaluated, and it's not like she just disappeared off the face of the earth without any type of trail. So it was, there was information that came out, but you got to remember who's giving the message, right?
Chief, would you release pictures of the inside of the home and of your excavation?
I'm sorry.
Give us pictures or video of your excavation and of the home?
That's all of an evidentiary value at this point. That would have to be released by the state's attorney, because this whole case now is going to be pushed over, stay with the Major Crimes Task Force, and it will be given to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. We just don't want to give anything out. Again, it's a long way to go on this. I'm sorry, sir, you had a question.
Did the brothers express why now? Why did they come forward now saying that they did this?
Well, I'll tell you, I ended up interviewing him in the, I think what ended up happening is they found out that this house was going to be condemned. Now, we knew about no water. We knew about the very poor living conditions. And I think they wanted to get ahead of it. I interviewed the brother. He was interviewed in the back of the ambulance. He was very cooperative, very compliant. We had a good rapport. And he wanted to explain that mom had passed and he buried her mother in the backyard. The sister had passed and the sister was also buried in the backyard.
Do you believe their account? Do you believe their explanation as to what happened?
I believe nothing until we do further interviews, gather more evidence. The medical examiner is going to be big on this. Hopefully, there's going to be evidentiary value in the deceased. That's going to lead us in the direction whether it was foul play or not. And that's really what it comes down to at this point.
So the brothers are officially suspects?
Absolutely.
And you gave us those two names, Jennifer and Jean. Are you saying they lived in the house, or are you saying that those are indeed the bodies?
No, I'm not going to say they are the bodies.
Okay.
It just kind of fits with the stories that they told us. Okay. Until DNA is completed, and that is in the process. We'll be getting DNA from the Lelco brothers, and we'll be comparing it to the deceased bodies to make sure that information is verified.
Chief, from your experience looking at the bodies, would you say that the condition of the bodies matches the timeline
Yes.
of 2015 and 2019 that you
Absolutely.
got? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any of the family that you've been able to locate of these two brothers?
No, we have not. We have no other information from either the county, the state, about any other deaths in the family or any other family members. Do you guys have any other information about any family members or anything like that? No, we don't. This is it, as far as we're aware of at this point. Unless somebody comes forward. We always look for anybody to come forward with any information. Now that this is pretty evident throughout the community, if anybody knows anything, please call the Lyons Police Department and say, I saw this or I saw that, or this wasn't right or that wasn't right. Everything that we can possibly do to try to square away what happened on this incident. Again, if that house, if they died in the house, that's a crime scene. We don't know. They could have died in the yard. We just don't know. So, but we're going to find out one way or the other. Hopefully some evidence is still going to be there when we go through the house. And I'm telling you, if anybody wants to volunteer to help us to do that, good luck. You won't want to. It's that bad. Thank you.
I need to spell it over name.
Herion, sir, Herion.
Do you know what happened with the animals that were in the house? There's like 2 dogs and 2 cats.
We had Humane Services come by and take them out. I watched them take the dogs out of the house. They said there were cats. We could not find any cats anywhere. The windows have been open inside the house. We kept the windows open in the event that if there were, they could escape. But when you were to see this house, sir, Thomas.
Chief, you said that one of the bodies was taken to the Cook County Examiner's office, and
Yes.
where was the other one taken?
It's also going to go to the medical examiner's office.
Both of them are going to the medical
Yes.
examiner? Okay.
Autopsies will be tomorrow.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Again, thank you. I'm sorry about the delay. I really appreciate it.